Ooh, welcome back to David Galata Book Dreamer. I'm David Galata, and I'm the guy dreaming up some books. So here we go. Hope everybody enjoyed last week's little episode with The Rat Returns. And this week, what I would really like to talk about is a subject that's very dear to my heart, and that is music to write with. Now, I understand not everyone likes to uh, write to music because sometimes if there's a lot of lyrics or anything like that, you could mess up. You start writing the lyrics instead of writing what's in your head. But bear with me for a moment. I prefer to have music in the background that fits the mood of my work. If I'm writing something that's very ironic, then I want music that's going to match that feel. But I don't necessarily go for music with a lot of lyrics. Um, I like instrumental pieces in general, and that really helps. That really, really helps. If I want to write something a little on the psychedelic side, I am going to go for Spangle or something like that. Um, I am going to go for Far Flung. And for those of you out there who know these bands, good on you. And if the bands are watching, hi, here's some free advertising for you because I love you guys. Um, the book Favored Son that I wrote, and that would be this one, was very much informed by the band Wolfmother. I don't think it would have been the same book without Wolfmother. That's an Australian band. I've come to really appreciate them, mainly because of their sound. I also like the singer's voice, the way he presents the material. I don't have to hear the lyrics. I know a lot of them, that's fine, but I find that I can block that out when I'm writing. I'm mainly focusing on the tone. I'm focusing on what I'm writing. Favored Son is adventurous. It's ironic. It's got some rebellious bits in there, but it's also got kind of an old world grandeur with a new world kind of way of saying things. So, it's kind of funny. Wolfmother kind of fit the bill very nicely. Whereas Clockmaker was very much an early Floyd, and yeah, nothing past uh, Dark Side of the Moon. Just mainly stuff before then really fit better. And again, the tone. It had a lot to do with the tone. Uh, Clockmaker is very much a fable. This is very much written like a fable. And because of that, that music really, really suited it very nicely. So these are things I keep in mind. If I'm writing something a little more classic, I'll listen to classical music. If I'm writing something that, needs to meander a bit, I listen to jazz. And, there's a lot of jazz with no lyrics at all. And, that's marvelous. And Miles Davis, Coltrane, uh, you know, Jimmy Smith. These are artists that I really enjoy, and I put them into separate playlists. This way, if I'm in the mood to write some science fiction, like Kuroganji's, I've got a playlist for that, for writing about the ship Ganges. Ah, this way, I don't miss out on the tone. The books about Ganges do not read like the book Clockmaker. A lot of that has to do with how the music affects my imagination. It's where my mind goes when I listen to music. Whenever I listen to music, I'm always getting, you know, I guess almost like a video in my head. I've done that since I was a little kid, well before there were anything like music videos. And once music videos were created, I found most of them to be not suiting the work. So I preferred my own imagination to what was being presented by choreographers and producers. who seemed to be more involved with their own projects than with what the music was actually trying to say. Um, and so I retreated from that in order to preserve what I could see up here. And in those days, I translated a lot of that into visual imagery as an artist. These days, I'm translating a lot of this into writing. If I'm writing a romantic scene, I got music for that. If I'm writing a battle scene, I have music for that. And that's important because it keeps the tone stable. I don't start meandering on the page towards romance when I'm in the middle of a fight. That wouldn't make sense. Unless I was trying to be super ironic, well, in which case, well, let's pull out the ironic mix. But this is what I mean. If you're careful, if you're careful about your playlists and you've got a wide variety to choose from, if all you listen to is one genre of music or one band or maybe three, this might not work so well. It just might not work quite as well. Having a wide variety of music to choose from, I think, is very important because each form of music, each composer, each artist has their own tone. And mixing and matching them so that the tones remain stable for the writing is very important. That's a really, really big point. I really do sit there and, scroll through, choose what it is that I want, so that even if I'm not in the mood, the music puts me there. That's one of the beauties of music as an art form, is that it can transport you from one mood to another. That's nifty stuff. We humans respond to music very strongly. So use that information. Use it for your own good. Use it to help you to write the book you want to write. You want to write a story that is all mystical and misty and, hidden meanings all throughout it. Play music that gets you into that kind of mood. Don't play something, light and hoppy, because that ain't gonna work. It will distract you. It will distract you. But if the music actually fits the tone of what you're writing, it can actually keep you on track. If lyrics trip you up, ignore the lyrics or pick music that doesn't have lyrics. And let's face it, it's not like we're lacking that these days. I mean, there's a lot of music out there with no lyrics whatsoever. And it's not just things like classical and jazz. I mean, there's electronica, there's techno beats, there's, drum and bass. There's all kinds of music out there that doesn't necessarily have lyrics, or pick music from countries where you don't know the language. Oh, there you go. You're not going to be sitting there writing something in Hindi if you don't know Hindi. You're not going to be sitting there and writing something in Spanish if you don't know Spanish. Then it doesn't matter. Then the vocals simply become another musical instrument. There we go. And that only helps with the process. So yeah, pick things where the lyrics are unintelligible to you, where you don't know what the lyrics could even possibly be. It doesn't matter. What matters is the tone in your ears that is keeping you locked into what it is you're writing. And that's the important part. That's the important part. And people say, hey, why do you listen to a lot of this, And you can say, because I don't know the words. Yeah, confuse them. Absolutely confuse them. There's some great stuff coming out of Japan. Wonderful stuff that's coming out of Malaysia. Believe it or not, they don't get enough attention here in the United States, I find. We seem to be very insular about our music. I believe that's a lot of our own music industry's influence, kind of like Hollywood and movies. If you go to India, you're not going to see a lot of Hollywood movies. You're going to see Bollywood. You're going to see their version of that industry. And that's important to understand. There is some fantastic music coming out of India. Why not listen to it? It is available. You can find it. I mean, this is the internet age. You can find anything. And that will also help those artists to get known beyond their own homeland's borders, just like us. So don't limit yourself to what you know. Don't limit yourself to what's on the radio. It it drives me crazy when people, it's not one of the top 10. Who cares? Because we're not dealing with only listening to the top 10. We're dealing with listening to music that's helping you write your story because of its emotional tone, because of the musical content itself. That is very important for you. So you don't care if it's top 10. It could be bottom 50. As long as it drives the work, that's what's important. And if you ever look up any of the artists who you are enjoying, even if they're not well known, in fact, especially if they're not well known, and you reach out to them and say, hey, just wanted to let you know that your music inspires my writing, they will be thrilled. They will be absolutely thrilled to know that their inspiration is inspiring you, that their work is inspiring your work, because that's what the arts do. They feed off of each other. There was a band who bought some of my paintings. They put those paintings in their studio so that they could jam out while staring at my paintings. Okay, that's great. This is how the arts interact with each other. It's how the arts reproduce. And that is an important thing to understand as well. Your writing may inspire music. It may inspire visual art. You don't know yet. You don't know, but it might. So keep that in mind too. I like to sort things. I really do. It's one of my OCD things. I like to sort things. That's why I have a lot of playlists. I've got like 50 of them. Just in case. I have ones for painting. Ones that inspire paintings. If I want to keep a certain mood, if I want to keep a certain emotional tone in the painting, I will listen to music that brings that forth. In fact, if I'm doing something that's very figurative, like the Mammoth Cave series, where it's a lot of realism, I listen to classical music because that inspires that kind of work. But if I'm doing something that's kind of loose and fluid, listen to Yellow or, Hawkwind or something, just because they tend to be a little more loose and fluid. This keeps you going even when you feel like you're about to run dry. And that's my final point. Many times I see authors who will say, hey, I've been writing, and all of a sudden everything's dried up and I don't know what to write anymore. I don't know what to do. How am I going to finish this? Sit back and listen to the music that inspires you. You might be surprised. If you are in the habit of having playlists for your writing, you may find yourself less inclined to having writer's block because you've trained your mind to imagine things for your stories while listening to certain playlists. So you put the playlists on whether or not you're ready to write or not. Now, half an hour later, you're banging your fingers against the keyboard there because you have been inspired by the music that you do listen to when you are writing. It kind of, gets the engine running. And that's an important aspect of music and how it relates to writing. So I do hope that this was an enjoyable little video. Please do subscribe and comment. I do like to answer comments, and I would love to share these videos with everyone, very much like how I want to share my stories with everyone. So You all have a fantastic week, and I'll see you on the next edition of David Gullotta Book Dreamer. Thank you so much for watching.